Whenever you look at a painting, there are at least two time zones that you travel between. There is the time now, when you look, and the time then, when the artwork was made. This is true not just of paintings and artworks, but of every object that has been made. However, paintings frequently stack up different time zones and play with the tension that generates between them. Sometimes a painting shows us something from history or legend, and this adds a third time that is different from the time of painting and the time of viewing. Turner's painting shows the building of Carthage by its legendary founder and first queen, Dido, in the 9th century BCE. It's not immediately obvious where she is, but she's there in the middle distance, directing her planners and architects, who are gathered round some large sheets of paper spread out on a stone. Dido is building Carthage, which means that the painting contains a future, the story of Carthage, that she cannot see, but which Turner expected his viewers to be familiar with. He wouldn't have expected them to know everything about it, but to know something about its beginning with Dido, who they would know from her appearance in Virgil's Aeneid, and its end with the defeat of Hannibal and its destruction by Scipio. All this is ancient history for us, but still in the future for the people in the painting. The figure in front of Dido may be Aeneas, the hero of Virgil's poem, the last survivor of Troy and one of the mythical founders of Rome. He and Dido become lovers, and after he abandons her, she will commit suicide. Both these futures, that of the city and that of Dido herself, are contained within the painting, but they unfold at different rates. This brings the number of time zones up to 5, and if that were not enough, many of Turner's original viewers would have sensed a parallel between the fate of Carthage and the British Empire. The painting would have functioned in 1815 as a prophecy and a warning. Sometimes the play with time zones is even stranger than this. Joseph Gandy was an artist and an architect who worked with Sir John Soane on the design for the Bank of England. The design and building took a long time, and he made this drawing in 1830 before the building was complete. It imagines a distant future, centuries away, maybe 1,000 years or more, where the bank has been reduced to a ruin perched on the edge of a cliff, a bit like the Acropolis. The drawing imagines that the bank will last a long, long time, and that even when it is ruined, it will still be an object of great beauty. Gandy made the drawing look like the ruins of ancient Rome, and there could have been no higher praise for a building in 1830 than that it was as good as Roman architecture. The picture enlists our sense of time in a complex way, imagining the immediate future as the distant past. Painting, drawing, any form of mark making contains its own form of time. The material retains a trace of the gesture that made it. Sometimes the process happens incredibly fast, as in this small drawing by Albert Marquet, where after a few quick strokes of the brush, everything is complete. The speed of the execution becomes part of the simple happiness of the man. At other times, the marks slowly accumulate on the surface, as in the drawing by Seurat. His technique registers very slight differences in the pressure of the chalk on the paper. As with the Marquet, though in a very different way, the time of the marking, which is intuited rather than calculated by the viewer, is understood as a feature of the drawing's engagement with its subject matter. Adrian Villar-Rojas works mostly in unfired clay. His sculptures make time visible after completion, because as the clay dries out, it cracks and flakes. This work, The Eternal Butterflies, meditates on time in other ways too. It consists of 2 sculptures. One is an equestrian sculpture on a traditional-looking plinth. The rider, however, is not a general or a king or a conqueror, but a lad. The other sculpture shows another youth mounted on a robot bug. We could look at these two as representing history in the future, although the equestrian statue does not fit the historical prototype. The 2 mounted figures turn toward one another, and it's worth asking yourself whether they can see each other. There's no way to definitively answer the question, but the work appears differently depending on which answer you hold in mind while you look at it. If they see one another, then we need to think about the kind of situation where two such different riders could come into contact. This would take us into the realm of science fiction. If they do not see each other, then we might think of the sculptures that we see as representations of sculptures that some future curator has decided to put together. In my own reading, I see the work as imagining a future so distant from our own time that the difference between a living animal and a robot bug has become insignificant, that the robot bug, a 21st century vision of the future, now belongs to the distant, possibly mythical, barely imaginable past. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe.